Boy, oh boy, do we have a lot going on. Brand new information on incursions and hot drama surrounding the new feature, updates on the Sunken Temple raid and how it's going to get nerfed already, leveling changes, a ton of new interesting topics and updates all happening right now. My name's Sky from the Comeback Kids. This is your Season of Discovery news. Grab a cup of coffee, sit down. We got a lot to discuss today. Additionally, we have a new sponsor with Factor coming up, so if you want fast, affordable, and great tasting food during these launch days of Phase 3, use our code COMEBACKAPR50 for 50% off. Not only do you get meal plans prepped for you during this launch, you directly support our channel as well, so it's a win-win for everybody. Okay, so now that leveling speed seems to be what Season of Discovery is all about, we got some additional ways to level up faster, with the Gnomergan raid being accessible below level 40 now. That's right, because with many players doing Gnomergan to level up quickly, it's important to know that you do not need to be level 40 to enter the raid, and you can join your friends on runs to level up faster. Of course, you may not be able to help your group that much, but you can join in with your friends, down a few bosses, and get some massive experience points to speed up that journey just a little bit faster. So if you're anywhere between levels 25 and 39, not only do you have Black Fathom Deeps, you have Gnomergan, as well as Nightmare incursions to run, so there's a wide variety of ways to level up your character efficiently, so you'll be able to get a lot more alts leveled up to try out a wide variety of classes and builds inside of Season of Discovery. Additionally, if you weren't aware, the Ashenvale weekly PvP quest was changed to a daily turn-in, but for some reason, the reputation from the PvP event has actually been bugged and only giving players about a roughly 100 reputation per turn-in rather than the weekly 1,000 previously. Agrind was actually asked about this the other day on Twitter, stating that level 50s are getting significantly less Warsong reputation from the Ashenvale event, and he confirmed that the fix for that is coming very soon. And by soon, it should have already now been fixed, because he confirmed that yesterday it was fixed over an hour ago, which should mean that completing your Ashenvale daily PvP quest is going to be a great way to get your Warsong Gold's reputation up to start earning all of those really solid rewards. Additionally, it seems that the one profession throughout Season of Discovery that's getting the short end of the stick throughout each phase has got to be hands down engineering. Well, it seems that the developers are finally taking notice of this and giving them a brand new quest line to obtain Gnomish and Goblin engineering recipes at the same time. That's right, this new Season of Discovery questline has been discovered and featured on Wowhead, with now having access to both Goblin and Gnomish engineering recipes through the implementation of the Engineering Exchange ticket. You actually unlock access to this questline in the Shimmering Flats in 1,000 Needles, which requires you to turn in some supplies through engineering crafting, and then you get another quest to kill a giant creature in Ungoro Crater. Then after, you continue the questline a bit more, he will then give you access to both Goblin and Gnomish engineering recipes, which can leave you with some very interesting things to play around with. I do think that the Epic Bracers engineers get this phase are okay at best, and they seem very minimal compared to the other crafting recipe epics, like the brand new shoulders you could obtain, but either way, I guess it's good to see that they're making an effort and trying to improve engineering overall, so definitely a big W. Now, I know we mentioned in our previous video that it might be a smart idea to go inside of Blackrock Depths and kill some of the final bosses to acquire some of the best loot in the game heading into next phase. Well, one thing we didn't take into consideration was that these bosses would be on vacation, hanging out at the Grim Guzzler, getting drunk with each other. That's right, because that's exactly what they're doing. And yes, you heard that correct, because in the later half of Blackrock Depths, these bosses are completely inaccessible and you cannot kill them at all. So those super strong items like the Hand of Justice, Iron Foe, and the Savage Gladiator Chain are sadly unobtainable this phase, and you'll have to wait until the final phase of Season of Discovery to even consider farming these bad boys out. Overall, though, I think this is a pretty funny way of implementing this, rather than the developers just putting a giant door with a lock on it. I got a kick out of it myself when I saw this, but sadly, I did want to attempt farming out Iron Foe on my Enhancement Shaman, but I guess that dream's gonna have to wait until next phase. Additionally, when it comes to bosses, it seems that myself and a lot of other players are experiencing the sad bug that inside of dungeons, bosses sometimes do not drop loot entirely, which is an absolute disaster and should never happen inside of World of Warcraft, and it's something that the developers actually addressed on a Twitter post on top of some other changes that are coming to the game very soon. Agrind actually took to Twitter to state that he loves that the major patch releases are on Thursdays because everyone gets to play throughout the entire weekend, but one of the unfortunate things is that they end up with some issues that they have to leave over the weekend to fix in the next patch update that Tuesday. He gave an update on some of the things that they're investigating and hoping to get fixes on, which include the missing loot drama inside of dungeons, the issues with looting quest objectives inside of Nightmare Incursions, raid tuning for bosses inside of Sunken Temple, which we will talk about in a minute, and various rune ability issues that they need to clean up. In addition, though, he states that there are more things they are tracking and trying to fix as well. So when it comes to the actual fixes to get the game, as fine-tuned as possible to give us a really good experience, it seems they already have their work cut out for them when it comes to Phase 3, considering we have brand new features like the Nightmare Incursions and the raid being heavily overtuned. And by overtuned, I mean the bosses inside have more health than the level 60 classic raid bosses by a very large margin. The health margin was so large that the developers nerfed it after just a few days by reducing a ton of the boss's health in there by a large amount, ranging from 23% health reduction all the way up to a very massive 56% health decrease, which is insane if you think about it. I would think they did this because after about a day and a half of guilds trying non-stop, they couldn't even clear Sunken Temple fully, and most of them weren't even getting some of these new bosses down to, 50-ish%, which made it nearly impossible for them to complete. Now listen, I'm all for the raid being incredibly difficult on the very first lockout, but having more health than some of the hardest bosses we've ever fought inside a classic seems a little bit far-fetched in my opinion. Overall, though, I like the idea of it being very difficult on the first lockout. I thought it was very interesting. On top of these changes, the developers posted that they're going to be getting even more things adjusted and fixed when it comes to the general health and satisfaction to Season of Discovery, which includes things like the Discoverer's Delight experience bonus actually being increased and more Nightmare Incursion adjustments coming next week. So, firstly, what I'm going to do is explain all of these changes coming to Nightmare Incursions and then give you my opinion on them overall on how sadly this brand new feature was absolutely blundered by the developers, in my opinion. We'll talk about that in a second. The developers state that they love that everyone's been enjoying the Nightmare Incursions over the past few days, but they're planning on giving an adjustment to the brand new feature. They state that they've always intended for Nightmare Incursions to be a valuable source of experience points, but they didn't intend it to be so much better than most other forms of getting experience between levels 40 and 50. They don't like that it's overshadowing other activities, and they want to make a change. As a result for this, they will increase the magnitude of Discoverer's Delight experience buff from 40 to 49, now giving you 65% more experience, which was previously 50%, and they will be reducing the amount of experience points you gain from a mission quest in the Nightmare Incursions overall. They make it very clear that they're reducing the experience from the Nightmare Incursion missions, but the creature kills within the Nightmare Incursions themselves are still impacted by Discoverer's Delight, so they will be lucrative with the adjustment overall. They state that the purpose of this is to make the kill quest more impactful and lucrative compared to the other gathering interactive boss quest instead. They state that they love Nightmare Incursions and they think they're flavorful, which I do agree, but they feel that it is best to compromise to keep incursions rewarding while also encouraging players to participate in other forms of leveling. Now, scratch all the developer posts and all the blue stuff aside. Now, of course, I agree with all these changes, and we could agree that Nightmare Incursions needed to get adjusted, and I'm really happy they're updating this as soon as possible. I'm only going to say what I'm about to say one time, because there's absolutely no sense in repeating the same thing over and over in every video and being completely negative and toxic towards something, because it serves no purpose if they're making changes already. But what happened with the Nightmare Incursions on launch day, in my opinion, was an utter and absolute disaster, and I wish it never happened. I mean, players turning these quests that they could finish within minutes to gain anywhere between 30 to 40 gold at a time and tens of thousands of experience points to level up within literally less than 25 minutes each level was such a big blunder that I'm surprised it wasn't on the Today Show in the morning news. Something very similar happened last phase with the Blood Moon event, where players would get thousands upon thousands of blood coins instantly in one event by exploiting the system, and they got ahead over the other players by getting all of their epic loot rewards by only participating in like 1 to 2 events. Fast forward now to phase 3. In this case, players got light years ahead by not only leveling up very quickly, but also by making anywhere between 200 to 600 gold on one single character before the nerfs actually kicked in and the developers finally noticed. Once again, I love that the developers are here taking risk and bringing up something that's brand new and inventing new ways for us to experience Season of Discovery, and in general, I really love the idea of these Nightmare Incursions. but allowing them to be spammable and infinitely repeatable over and over again, in my opinion, was a very big mistake, and players took advantage of it very, very quickly. I may be wrong, so you all have to let me know about it in the comment section below, but I think they should have had these incursion quests either on a daily lockout or a 3-day lockout cooldown, but maybe to, make up for that, they give double or even triple the rewards. For example, right now, each quest gives roughly about 1 gold, 50 silver, and like 6k-ish XP depending on your level. I think it would have been better if they put it on a 3-day or daily lockout and give you triple the rewards, like 4 to 5 gold per quest, and maybe 15-ish thousand XP, which is a decent amount, and then a nice chunk of reputation to go along with it. The purpose of that would be that it's rewarding if you take the time to go do it every few days, but it's not abusable and you have to spam it over and over again to level up fast. I mean, this is something that's so powerful that I've never seen it before inside of World of Warcraft, and that includes retail WoW as well. Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think that this is absolutely game-breaking and Season of Discovery is ruined and Phase 3 is done. Yes, it sucks that it happened, and yes, I wish there was some sort of testing for it. But what are we going to do at this point? Just completely quit Season of Discovery and say the developers are a bunch of idiots for taking a bunch of risks on a feature they've never done or never tried inside of World of Warcraft? No, I mean, they made a mistake, they're human, they adjusted it within less than 8 hours of it being released, and they're having these updates ready and locked and loaded heading into Tuesday, which is them doing the best they could possibly do when it comes to a damage control sort of standpoint. Once again, I wish it never happened. It sucks that it happened. But at this point, we gotta move on as a player base and just try to enjoy the phase at this point. Please do me a favor and let me know what you all think about it in the comment section below, because this is by far the hottest drama I've seen so far when it comes to Season of Discovery. And I absolutely need to hear from you all to talk about it in the next comment section of the next video. Because it seems like players are either happy that they exploited it and they were there and they made a bunch of gold and profit, or they were pissed off about it because they weren't there to capitalize off of it, and now they're stuck behind all of the other players. Moving on though, when it comes to incursions, I'm not going to lie, the reputation grind can be a little bit daunting. Now normally when you complete quests for the incursions, they give you about 75 reputation each, and yes, that goes for the Hinterlands and Feralis level 50 quest as well. But something that's a little bit hidden that not many people know about is that there is a daily quest that actually awards you with a total of 1,000 reputation when you complete it. You actually pick these quests up outside of the Feralis or Hinterlands incursions, and you complete one quest within the dream. After you turn it in, you get a bulk of 1,000 reputation. The thing that's interesting though is that I'm not sure if this is 100% intended, considering that you're actually awarded with 5 separate times of 200 reputation. So does that mean maybe it's supposed to be only 200 rep total? Is it supposed to be 1,000? I'm not too sure. I think only time will tell, heading into the next week of changes. But if you're listening to this, do yourself a favor, complete these daily turn-ins as soon as possible, just in case it's maybe not intended, so you can get a little bit more, reputation out of the daily quest out there. Lastly, when it comes to Nightmare Incursions, a very, very big tip that not a lot of people remember is that you can purchase the Emerald Ring from the faction vendor to teleport to your friends inside of the Nightmare Incursions instantly, no matter where you are in the world. So the second that you hit friendly with the Emerald Warden's reputation, go to that reputation vendor, use the on-use effect, and it will save you tons of time to get right back into the action to level up, make gold, earn rep, whatever it is, that you need to do faster to progress your character. Okay, now to wrap it up, my initial thoughts on Phase 3 so far. What am I thinking? To be honest, I'm still incredibly excited about this phase, and I do think it will end up being my favorite phase so far in Season of Discovery in terms of content and activities to do. I know first stepping into Season of Discovery, it was an incredible experience and is just uncomparable from a first-time experience perspective. But in general, I will say that I am very, very happy with what they're attempting to do with Phase 3. I mean, from what I'm hearing, the Sunken Temple raid is very difficult and not easy to just steamroll through, which leaves me very excited as a player who's ready for some challenging content. I think the Nightmare Incursions are very interesting, and it's a good idea. And it is something that I personally have never seen inside of World of Warcraft, at least classic era. And I love the variety of quests that they have inside. I just think that they need to tune up and, adjust certain quests accordingly. For example, maybe buffing the amount of experience points you get from the kill quest and reducing the amount of experience points you obtain from the gather quest so people don't just AFK, do a bunch of boring nonsense nonstop. I think it's very straightforward. You should be rewarded more for doing quests that take longer. Also, I will flat out state that I don't love the fact that these quests are spammable. I absolutely hate that idea. I think that for the casual player, it's going to be very, very daunting for them to level up their reputation with the Emerald Wardens, simply because they don't have as much time on their hands versus someone like me. I mean, I have the opportunity to play anywhere between 3 to 5 times more than the casual player every single day. I don't love systems that benefit players with more time on their hands rather than balancing out the reputation grind to make it equal for everyone else, whether you put in an hour, 2 hours, whatever. I think a great way to balance out the reputation would be to either have all the quests doable only once a day, but give significantly more reputation, or potentially even on a 2 or 3 day lockout and give way more reputation, because the truth is, you could spend a solid 2 hours grinding out these incursions and get very minimal reputation on one single character, and it can be very difficult and daunting for a casual player out there. I was doing the Referral incursions for a long time with some of my guildies and only got probably like 15 to 20% into Honored after maybe 2.5 hours, 3 hours of doing it. So don't get me wrong, I like progressive content in an MMO. I just think it's going to get really crazy when some of these more casual players head into the end game and realize how long it actually takes for you to advance your character and progress through these reputation grinds. Other than that, I think the reputation rewards are awesome. They're super good. They're impactful. I love the profession changes they're making. I love the additions they're putting into the game. I am really, really excited to see if this brand new PvP gear you get at rank 5, 6, and 7 are going to make a difference in the, crazy burst meta inside of PvP right now. I will say flat out that if it still doesn't get changed and there's a crazy burst meta still, they are going to have to implement a flat percentage damage decrease you take in PvP. That's just the truth. I'm really hoping with this new PvP gear, though, it sort of evens it out. But if it's still a one-shot meta, a change has to be made because it's only going to continue to get worse. Other than that, I'm excited to see about, how class balancing is and the parses and the DPS logs are inside of Sunken Temple Monday night. We are going to be checking that out for Tuesday's video, so that's something to keep track of. But overall, man, I still have a lot of high hopes and expectations for Phase 3. I think the developers are doing the best they can, and I hope you all are enjoying it so far, and hopefully you don't go crazy about the latest Nightmare Incursion blunder. Don't forget to leave a comment about Phase 3 and everything else so far so we can bring up any of these problems in our next news video to try to get them fixed or improved upon when it comes to communicating with the developers out there for Phase 3. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Being absolutely flooded with Season of Discovery content. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. It's an absolute pleasure to be making content for you all. Until the very end, my name is Sky from the Comeback Kids. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.